Here's an example or an illustration of the design problems of a Yamaha Rhino compared to other vehicles. Here you have just a typical sedan. The dimensions will be about 71 inches wide by 53 inches tall. On an SUV, you're going to be a little bit wider, about 80 inches wide by, say, 74 inches tall. Of course, these are driven on the street. You go off-road, the Rhino design is 54 inches wide by 73 inches tall, 1 inch less than an SUV. An SUV is still wider than it is tall. It's much more stable. Here, it's much taller than it is wide. The ratio is about 5 to 7 here. It's the inverse of what it is in a vehicle, which is about 5 by 7. These are very unstable, as we know, and contrary to common sense. The very first off-road vehicle, or the very first dune buggy, was designed by Bruce Myers. He was a Navy veteran of World War II. He came back, decided he wanted to design an off-road vehicle, and just using his common sense, he wasn't an expert for a huge company, but just using his common sense, he designed a vehicle, an off-road vehicle, that was 72 inches wide by 48 inches tall. Same height, by the way, very low, like a sports car would be. But off-road, it's even more necessary, more important that you have those types of dimensions for stability. Put a couple seats in your dune buggy, put a couple guys in there. The center of gravity is pretty low here because of the profile. The width allows for a lot of stability. In a Rhino, the seating is much more like a golf cart. So you put a couple people in there, the center of gravity is much higher. Of course, there's lift here to create clearance. Here you don't have to worry about that because they're driven on the street. And the Rhino is very prone to rollover because of that. And if you just think about it, if you were setting out to design an off-road vehicle, this is what you would do. You wouldn't do this. This doesn't make any sense. It's taller than it is wide. But if you were trying to design a vehicle that you could market and sell to people based upon the fact that you could drive it up into the back of a pickup truck, you would want it to be 54 inches wide. That's exactly what happened with the Rhino. This is where common sense leads you. This is where some other type of thinking leads you. The other thing that this leads you to is a lot of rollovers and a lot of problems. There's very little margin for error when the Rhino tips over. In a dune buggy, because it's 72 inches wide, it's a lot less likely that a limb is going to be outside of the cage. But in something that's 54 inches wide, it's a lot more likely that an arm or a leg is going to be outside of the cage when it rolls. And when they are, they can be and often are crushed by the roll bar, the body of the Rhino. And so hopefully this illustration helps explain the risks and the design problems of the Rhino. And this is one of the things that we do at the ATV Attorney Alliance in answering questions from people that contact us.